He is not here. He is risen. Hello, I'm Howard, and welcome to Spiritual Shorts, 5 to 10 minute videos on faith and life from a uniquely Swedenborgian perspective. Today's video is intended to support your home worship this Easter. You know, music is an important aspect of the worship experience, and unfortunately, due to licensing issues, I don't include music in my videos. But I have included links to 2 Easter hymns in the description of this video, and I encourage you to click on both of them and play them at the beginning and then at the end of your home worship. The first hymn is a beautiful rendition of Were You There by Johnny Cash and the Carter Family. And the concluding hymn is Christ the Lord has risen today, wonderfully performed by the Tabernacle Choir. So, we'll take a break, listen to that first hymn, and that will help set the tone for today's worship. Wasn't that a beautiful hymn? Let's begin our service. He is not here. He is risen. Please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I want to begin our service today by reading from the Easter account in Matthew, chapter 28. Early on Sunday morning, as the new day was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went out to visit the tomb. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, rolled aside the stone, and sat on it. His face shone like lightning, and his clothing was as white as snow. The guards shook with fear when they saw him, and they fell into a dead faint. Then the angel spoke to the women. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I know you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead, just as he said he would. Come, see where his body was lying. And now go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead, and he is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Remember what I have told you." Amen. My thoughts for this Easter are focused on those words, He is risen. He is not here. He is risen. The idea of rising up is well known. It has meaning in our vocabulary, but it has multiple meanings. We all know what it means when somebody says, "Hey, let's all rise to the challenge." Or when somebody else says, "Hey, let's slow down, let's raise our thoughts." And certainly today we are talking about the Lord rising. But I want to look at the first at the idea of usefulness or having purpose. Read to you again from the Bible, this time from the book of Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance. So begins one of the best known verses from the Bible, probably more so for the song that Pete Seeger turned that Bible verse into. But what the passage points to is the order that exists in the whole of the created world. For nothing exists that does not serve a purpose or a use, and a time for every purpose under heaven. The simplest example of this are bees. Most of us would do well to avoid bees, afraid of the pain and shock of being stung by a bee. But oh my, what a useful purpose the bee serves in the order of nature. Each of us are intended also to serve a use, and not only here in this world, but in the next, in heaven. You see, the heaven God has in store for us is a heaven of purpose and usefulness. On this idea of heaven as a place where everyone is useful, I think it's important to reflect on what we think of as heaven. Some people, when they think of heaven, they think of a place where, they'll finally get to relax. It's a place of leisure, of sitting around and taking it easy and having everything provided for them. But that's not what the New Church teaches, and it's not what I believe. You see, a world where everybody is being waited on like a Roman emperor means that you want a world where everyone is subordinate to you, serving you. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sure that's not heaven. That might be the other place, but that's not heaven. Let me put it another way. Many people, when they think about retirement, they think, I'll finally get to relax. I'll finally get to take it easy. I'll finally get time to do the things that I want to do. Maybe play golf 4 or 5 times a day if that's what you like to do in your leisure time. But the good number of people that do wind up living out what they think heaven is all about learn rather quickly that that's not all it's cracked up to be. In fact, the people that I speak with, the people that I know who are in retirement, the ones that seem to be enjoying retirement the most, who seem to be finding the most fulfillment in retirement, are those who remain active, remain useful members of their community. Heaven will be the same way. And the beauty of this idea of heaven being a useful place is that we can bring that heaven into our own lives. We can look at our work, the things that we do on a daily basis, for the use they serve for others. And that is truly heaven on earth. And this is where the circumstances we find ourselves in provide ample examples of usefulness in people all over our society and all over our communities, and sometimes in unexpected places. Sure, at times of national and international crises, we expect doctors and nurses and EMTs, police officers, firefighters, and soldiers. We expect them to perform heroic actions. But the circumstances we find ourselves in today brings forth everyday citizens almost unexpectedly to perform heroically. Talk about rising to the challenge. Consider your local shop. The people stocking the shelves, the people manning the checkout aisles. You may never have really thought twice about the importance of their job, and all of a sudden they find themselves as keystones to our global effort to tamp down this pandemic. And not only the shopkeepers, think of the warehouse workers without whom our shops would have nothing to put on the shelves. And they're all working overtime to make sure that necessities make it to our tables. And take it further back, think of the truck drivers who are driving across countries to deliver products to those warehouses. And think about the sailors who are making sure the ships continue to ply the waters and move products from country to country to keep the supply chains going. These people are showing up. They show up every day, and we don't give them much thought. They show up now, and they are a prime example of people living useful lives. And think about them from the perspective of rising to meet the challenge. I want to read to you a couple of passages. These are from the teachings for the new church. The first one is about how what we want or what we love and what we know join together in usefulness. Because love and wisdom take form and find continued existence in usefulness. Usefulness itself is what can move a person. Usefulness is faithfully, honestly, and diligently carrying out the work involved in your daily job. The second passage, it's a beautiful passage when married with that first. The Lord's resurrection on the third morning embodies the truth that he rises daily, indeed every single moment, in the minds of the regenerate person. In other words, the Lord is rising every single moment in the person who performs their job faithfully, honestly, and diligently in service to the neighbor. I leave you on this Easter, a unique one it is, with this prayer. May you find inspiration in the simple acts of others who rise to the challenges around us this Easter. May you see in their acts the Lord himself rising. He is not here. He is risen. And he rises daily in those engaged in useful service to the neighbor. Amen. I have a closing blessing, and then we'll close the word. May the Lord give his angels charge over you and keep you in all your ways. Amen. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Spiritual Shorts, 5 to 10 minute videos on faith and life from a uniquely Swedenborgian perspective. And if you did, please press the like button. If you'd like to see future episodes, you can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button.